it's Mary Ellen, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things related to the storytelling industry. But today we're doing a vlog. I told you guys I wanted to start doing some random vlogs. I don't know what this is going to look like. This is my first attempt at vlogging, so I think I'm just going to kind of take you along. But it is Tuesday. I start work in about 10 minutes. I've got my beloved coffee and I'm ready to go. Yesterday was crazy. I spent most of the day digging out of emails because I was on vacation last week. And if you follow me on TikTok, you already know, but if you don't follow me on TikTok, it was a horrible vacation because I didn't get a vacation. So the way it worked was I had a staycation planned, and my plan was to go down to my sister's house for a couple of days at the beginning of the week because it's my niece's birthday weekend it was, and then my nephew had a show on Saturday night. So I was like, I'll go down for like Saturday and Sunday night, watch my nephew's show, take my niece out for like breakfast or lunch the next day to celebrate her birthday, go home on Monday because my sister was also on fall break. She's a teacher and she was going to go on her own trip with her daughter. So I was like, I'll just go down for a couple days and then I'll come back home and do my staycation. And I live in Northwest Indiana, so I had things planned, like I was going to go down to Indianapolis and go to a couple museums. I was going to drive out to Shipshewana because Shipshewana has lots of like crafts and things. I was going to go out to Bailey's, which if you know, you know. Bailey's. And I was going to do just little things like that. I thought about painting my dining room because I had that I wanted to do. I wanted to clean out my garage, like a little fall cleaning, vacuum out the car, just stuff like that, right? Stuff around the house, but nothing really strenuous, nothing very costly, just like simple, easy things to do around the area and just basically go on a mental health break. Honestly, I needed a mental health break. It's been a year. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot in my personal life, health, mental health, home repairs, just a lot. And I really just needed to like check out of work for a week and just focus on my mental health. And instead, I ended up coming down with a flu-like thing, which I ended up finding out was food poisoning. Fun. Not eating at Chipotle anytime soon. So anyways, I ate at the Chipotle. Ended up with food poisoning, salmonella to be exact, and I was sick the whole week. I started getting sick Saturday night, and I was sick all the way. I started feeling better Friday, and by Saturday, I was kind of back normal. So I was sick for like an entire week, and I ended up not doing anything. I got home from my sister's house on a hope and a prayer. Because I did make it there on Saturday, but I ended up getting sick. So I made it home on a hope and a prayer and a change of clothing. And then I spent the rest of the week in my bathroom, pretty much. So I actually like angry cried about this last week because I really needed that. I needed the mental health break. And I didn't get it. I didn't get one. So I'm really sad and I'm really disappointed because also I work in corporate America, so it's not like I can just drop everything and take a week of vacation whenever I feel like it. It's not possible. I do work for a company that has unlimited vacation, which I'm very grateful for, but you can't just take a week when you feel like it. Like there's a reasonable way of taking time off, you know? So realistically, I'm probably not going to get another vacation week until after the beginning of the year, and I may revisit another staycation, honestly. So we'll see. I think I would like to do another staycation, but I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. So anyway, so it is Tuesday. I need to wrap this up because I got it started for my work day. But yeah, I think I'm just going to take you guys along whatever it is I'm tackling today, and we'll do it one thing at a time. I am on lunch break, and because I tend to work West Coast time, I'm actually taking my lunch break at like 2:30, 3 o'clock my time, because I think I may have told you guys this. The company I work for is West Coast, and most of the hotels I have are West Coast. So when I first took this job, I was still trying to stick to like Central Time Zone living, right? I would get up and I'd start work at like 8 o'clock and get off at 5. But then what I found out was I would get off work at 5 and my hotels are still working because they're 2 hours behind me. So I would be getting phone calls and emails, and we got this group that came in and can you blah, blah, blah. And so I would get off at 5, and I would spend the next 2 hours still working because my hotels were still going. And so I finally decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to work West Coast time. So I start work at 10. I work until like 6 or 7, and that's just how I do my day. And because of that, I take my lunch break at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So I just came in from outside because dog had to potty, and also I was out trying to weed whack some of the weeds in the grass that are growing faster. Some of you guys may remember that I had my main sewer line replaced this summer, and I ended up throwing down some grass seed just to fill in some of the muddy spots so that my dog wouldn't be playing in mud all winter long. But the new grass seed grows faster than the rest of my yard, and I don't have a working lawnmower, so I was out there with the weed whacker trying to knock down the grass in between the regular mow schedule. And also, the neighborhood kid that mows grass is done for the season, so I don't even know if he's going to do anymore. I don't know, but we'll talk about it. All right, let me this is morbid, so prepare yourself. But I want to show you guys something that a lot of people don't think of, but I wanted to share with you guys because I think it's such a good idea. And that is making plans for if something happens to you, like you die, or if you become incapacitated and able to make decisions for yourself. It's a really difficult topic, and I actually came across an ad for this on Facebook of all places. Ended up going on Amazon and ordering it. And it's this. It is like a planner. It's got a binder on the inside. It's called I'm Dead, Now What? And basically it's a planner to write down all of the information and plans that someone would need if something happens to you. Now you might be like, you're in your 40s. Why are you even doing this? Well, honestly, I was inspired by my parents and my dad specifically. And also, as you guys know, I've had some health issues in recent years that make me think that it's something I need to have on hand. So if you guys did not know this, my parents actually pre-planned their funerals prior to their passing, and my dad specifically not only pre-planned his funeral, but he actually had a folder in his filing cabinet in his office that was the hey, this is what you do what to do when I die folder was actually what it was called. And inside of the folder was a checklist and all of the information that I would need for him after his passing. So it had life insurance policies, who to contact. He even wrote his own obituary. I'm kidding you not. He wrote his own obituary. He had all of the major like accounts and bills that I would need to close. He had, and including phone numbers and who to contact. He had like everything. So when my dad passed away, the only thing that my sister and brother and I had to do was call the funeral home to come and get him. And the only thing the funeral home needed to know is what time do you want the funeral and what are you burying him in? That's the only decisions that we had to make. Everything else was planned down to what songs, Bible verses, everything was planned. And then after his funeral, everything on this checklist was literally step by step, from get my death certificate to call the life insurance company to like step by step what I needed to do. And so in a time period where we were devastated and, to be honest, barely functioning, I didn't have to think because he had everything planned. And to me, it was one final act of love for him to know that we would be devastated. And so to make our lives easier, he made it so that we didn't have to make decisions for him. And I was inspired by that because I don't have any kids. So most likely if something happens to me, it will probably be my sister's kids that are making decisions for me. So my Hope and my Earl. And I don't want them at an already emotionally difficult time having to figure out what I want done. Instead, I want to have this in the binder for them. I also have an online spreadsheet just in case, like, what if my house burns down or a tornado flies through and they lose the book? I also have an online spreadsheet that they have access to so that when something happens to me, they have it in both places and they don't have to make decisions. What I like about this particular one, and I will link it below, I'm not affiliated, I don't get commission or anything. This is just one I found and like. What I like about this one is it doesn't just cover when you're dead. It covers if you become incapacitated. So it asks a lot of really hard questions like, do you want to be put on a ventilator? In what situations should they remove the ventilator? Do you want to be resuscitated? And if XYZ happens, like, in what situation would you not want to be resuscitated? Like, it asks those really hard questions. And that's important to me also because our family had to make the decision for my mother to turn off the machine. And I don't want them to feel like they have to make that decision. I want them to, it's written down, this is what I want. And if you're in that situation, this was my decision, not your decision. And therefore, there is no guilt, like, oh, should I have done it? You don't have to worry about that because I made the decision for you. And this one also includes like information for your obituary, information on like your passwords to your computers and your emails and how to log into accounts, all of that. And I gotta be honest with you guys, it's pretty sobering to sit down and pick out your songs and your Bible verses and your readings for your funeral. It's really sobering. But again, I realize that this is a way for me to take the pressure off of them in a time where I don't want them to have to worry about anything. So I'm not saying you have to use this. There's a million versions of this. There's boxes. There's all kinds of things you can get. But for me, especially if you're a person who has children, I think that what better way of showing your love to your family one last time than to turning something that's a horrible situation into something slightly easier for them so that they don't have to have added pressure on a horrible day. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So anyways, I have been working through this. Look, it's hard. I do a couple pages every week, every couple days, whatever. And eventually I will get through all of these. And it's also a living document. So this is something that every, 6 months or so, at least once a year, I probably want to crack back open and make sure that everything is still valid. But yeah, a morbid conversation, but one that I think more people should have. So yeah, just thought I would share that with you guys. Unfortunately, my lunch break is now over, so I'm going to have to go back to work, but I'll see you guys later. Good morning. It's the next day. There's my holiday tree. I have my Halloween theme up, obviously, because it's October. I don't think I've ever really showed you guys my office, so I will show it to you here in a minute, but I did not pop on last night because, I'll be honest with you guys, I got off work, ate dinner, played with the dog, and then I started watching Poldark on Netflix. I'm obsessed. I made it through like the first 4 episodes, and yeah, but it's really hard for me, and I have told you guys this before. I have a hard time. My job is not physically demanding, but it is mentally demanding. And when I get off work at the end of the day, I'm on a computer literally all day. The last thing in the world I want to do is get back on the computer. So I have a really hard time motivating myself to write on work days. And I hate that because then everything gets crammed into the weekend and my weekend's busy. So then 9 times out of 10, I'm just not writing for the week. And I don't know how to change that because my job is on the computer. So, like, how do you change that? You know what I mean? I don't know. I need to figure it out. But I'll show you guys my office. It's pretty small, but for anybody who's kind of wondering, I'll show it to you. Okay, taking you guys into my office. And I think it's really sad because I'm in here every day. So I don't realize how cute my office is and how much I love my office necessarily because I'm always in it. So I kind of don't pay attention. And then people come over, oh my goodness, your office is so cute. And I'm like, oh, thanks. You know what I mean? Because I guess I just don't realize. But that's my office. It's small, but I work from home. So, I mean, I'm spending the majority of my day in this room, which is why I have my desk like this, because I wanted to be able to look out the window. I'm like, if I'm going to be trapped in here all day, I want to be able to look out the window. And it's right across from my bedroom. So I'm going to spin you guys with me. So my bedroom is over there, and then living room, and then down the hallway you've got dining room and upstairs. So yeah, it's a pretty good space. It's nice to work from home, but like I said, sometimes I just don't realize that, like, I actually really love my office. I love my striped wall, but because I'm in here every day, I just kind of don't realize that it's cute. You know what I mean? Anyway. So Rudy is at daycare today. I take him on Wednesdays because most of the time I'm working all day. He doesn't get to go out to play, especially now with it going into fall and winter. It gets dark earlier. And so one of the things I set up for him was daycare once a week. I can't afford to take him every day, nor is there really a reason to take him every day, because I work from home. But I figure one day a week, I end up letting him go to daycare so he can play and get out of the house and be around other dogs and do dog things. And then the rest of the week, he's with mama. If I do have like work meetings and things, I'll obviously send him other days. But for the most part, he goes once a week on Wednesday. So that's been really good for him. I recommend anybody else who works from home and has a dog, if your dog is good in daycare, because not all dogs are daycare dogs, but if your dog does well in daycare, it is just a way for them to just play and have a day. And some places have half-day daycare. I was doing half-day daycare with him. Oh, I did that for like a year because the place I go to, half-day daycare is only $15. And so I took him a couple times a week for $15. But the problem is now that I work West Coast time, their half-day daycare gets done at noon. So you have to pick him up between 12 and 1. Well, most days of the week, I have meetings from 12 to 1 because I'm on West Coast time. And so it didn't work out for him anymore. So I had to put him in full-day daycare because I couldn't get away for that hour to pick him up. So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I'm working. Shocker. But that's okay. So as I was driving Rudy to daycare, I was scrolling through my list of saved podcasts and I was trying to find one to start so I could listen to it in the car and then, finish it when I got home. And I had this realization because I've been feeling so discouraged about the podcast. My sister has too. I had this realization that we're our own worst enemy because one of the reasons why our podcast isn't progressing, at least in my opinion, is that we're not being consistent. I think it's really hard to look at yourself objectively, especially when I know everything that's been going on in my personal life. I know everything that's been going on in my sister's personal life. We've had a really rough year. But I'm looking at these other podcasts who have likely also had really rough years because life happens to everybody. And yet they still show up every week with high quality episodes on the day and time that their fans expect them to show up. And we haven't. We haven't. And I think it's hard to look at myself and be like, you dropped the ball. But I dropped the ball. Me and my sister both did. We dropped the ball this season. And we always talk about how I'm not motivated, we're not growing, well, you're not growing because you're not trying. That's the truth of it. And the same thing could be said for my writing, right? Like I just told you guys like a few minutes ago that it's hard for me to motivate myself after a long work day to get on and write. But like, how else can you expect to progress in your career unless you choose to show up and write? I don't know. That was my learning lesson of today, that maybe I'm tired and maybe life just absolutely sucks. I still need to show up. So anyway, I gotta go to work now. See you guys later. Hello, friends. I don't know what I'm going to call this video. I might just title it like Random Thoughts, because it's been just kind of a random vlog of my thoughts throughout the week. But I thought I would take you guys, because I had mentioned showing you my yard. Let me show you my yard, because some of you guys have followed along my crazy summer of chaos. So let's go for a walk, and I will show you guys the hell that is my yard right now. So two main projects that I'm dealing with right now is, of course, the main sewer line, which got tore out, and then that resulted in my deck being torn out. So I did get new stairs. So fun fact, I actually like the stairs better than I liked the deck, because I think once I get my patio fixed, this is actually going to be much more functional. So let me show you how things are looking. These are my new stairs, and I like them, right? They're fine. They're just normal stairs. As you can see, I need to get my patio redone because that'll bring up the cement a little taller. But this is what is left from underneath the deck and the tearing out, because that's my main sewer line. As you can see, I had a brick patio, so that's where all the bricks came from. It connects down to that clean out, and then it goes all the way down the side of my yard. But this is the main sewer line. So in a perfect world, I want to get this entire patio section redone, hopefully next summer. So I'd like to get this all redone. And my hot tub, there's my beloved hot tub. I have a couple chairs out and I have my grill. But in a perfect world, what I think I would like to do with this is I actually want to tear out my boxes, because in case you guys cannot tell from this far away, my boxes are actually rotted. So see how it's like completely rotted out. And then over here, you can't see it too well because of the grass. Oh yeah, you can actually. This is rotted out here as well. See how it's all broken? So really, these boxes need to be torn out. And I thought, why don't I expand this patio section where the boxes are? Because my thought is then I could have room for my hot tub and for the pool, and yet still have room back there by the house for my chairs. I could figure out a cute way to cover up the sewer pipe thingy-majiggers, cleanouts, and then there would just be room for like a full-on patio setup back here. But then I was told by people they think that'll look weird. I don't really care. It's more functional. And then what I was talking about is this is where my main sewer line got tore out. I had estimates between $2,000 and $3,000 to even out the grass and get rid of the hill. So I was like, you know what? We are going to embrace having a hill in the backyard. I don't have any kids. The only more person who's running through my grass is my dog. So I bought some cheap grass seed and I just filled in the grass. So I have grass and it still has some holes. As you can see, it's patchy in some spots, but this guy right here, Patootie Broody Patootie Pants, hi baby. He hopefully will be less muddy. The only thing I have to figure out between now and winter is trying to fence this off, because he likes to get in here. And what makes me nervous is because this is where the deck was, there are like loose nails and pieces of sewer pipe. So the other day he was so excited running to me, and I about died because he was running around with a giant screw from the deck in his mouth. So I think I'd like to put some temporary fencing here just to keep the baby out. And if you follow me on TikTok, you will know that I am debating whether or not I want to put this in the garage. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why it should not go in the garage, and there's a lot of people who say you can. I'm trying to keep it outside as long as possible, but I think I may attempt putting it in the garage just to see if I can prolong hot tub season. Because for those of you who don't know, this is rated down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So it should last for a good chunk of the winter, but probably when I get to January, February, where we get the below zero weather, it's gonna have to be taken down. So yeah, this is the state of my backyard, and I'm okay with it. My main goal really for this year was to get away out the back door, because I could not handle walking outside with the dog through the snow and the ice to take him potty. And now I don't have to. I can just open the door and he goes. But like I said, my big project that I would like to get done next summer is redoing the patio. But it's not cheap. I got estimates and it's like $8,000. So I don't know that I'll be able to swing that. If not, then I just need someone to like clean up the bricks. I don't know. It's a mess, but yeah, that's the state of my backyard. Well, my lunch break is over, so let's check in later. Hello friends, it's Friday. How are you today? I'm hanging out in the kitchen. I have you guys hanging from my shelf over here because I thought this would be the perfect place to prop you and chat this morning. So it is Friday. I just got done eating breakfast. I made breakfast burritos. I'll show you guys what I made because I don't know if anybody else does this. I prep a lot of food, so hold up. I live alone, so I prep a lot of food. Also, do not judge the fact that my fridge is empty. I need to go grocery shopping tomorrow, maybe tonight. Anyways, I prep a lot of food in advance. So I ended up making a big batch of breakfast burritos. So this is like the inside. The only thing I have to add is cheese. But I'll make a big container, and this will last me, because eggs will usually last 2 to 3 days. They get a little funky on day 3. But what I do is I make up a batch of it, like a container full, and then I will have it for the next 2 to 3 days. And I just warm up my tortilla, add my mixture, put a little cheese on top. I got breakfast burrito. But I do this with a lot of my food. So like, even though my fridge looks empty, if you look in my freezer, I don't know if you can see my freezer, I have several containers in there that I have frozen, because I'll make big batches of stuff and I'll just eat off of it for several days. I freeze them so that I can have a variety of meals. And then during the work week when I'm working, I don't have to worry about cooking anything, because everything's kind of pre-cooked. And then if I do want something specific, like I said, I'll make a big batch of whatever it is. And then I have containers and I just divide and freeze. So anyways, yeah, that's what I do. So anywho, it is Friday. I am so looking forward to the weekend. I may be going out to meet a friend and her husband for lunch this weekend. I don't know, because there's other factors that may interfere with that decision. But basically, I'm looking forward to just relaxing. As you guys know, my vacation got kind of ruined. So I'm looking forward to actually relaxing and working on some writing. So one of the things I'm starting right now is I am researching colleges and universities. I have found several articles online, several newspaper articles from past years that I'm kind of compiling and outlining for different colleges. I think I'm going to start like a folder or something for my sister, a shared folder, Google Drive or something, to start throwing some of these articles in. I did get a 1-month subscription to Newspapers Online. If you guys have never used it, it is basically a large database of newspapers that people have, scanned and made available online. It's the equivalent of back in the day going to the library and looking through oh my God, what are they called now? The film things. You guys know what I'm talking about, where they had the machine and all the newspaper articles were on like a film, and you'd have, I can't remember what it's called. And you'd have to go through it. Then you would print from there. Well, they've taken all of those films and they've uploaded them into this large database. You can get free trials for however many weeks or days, but I'm just buying a subscription for at least the next month to just try to get as much information as I can online. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of things, like especially when we were doing our Haunted Dearborn County, Indiana book, that are in there that you don't expect. So for example, we were doing a story about this unexplained black cat that keeps being seen. It's called The Black Cat of Dearborn County, and it is basically a panther-looking cat that over the years people have mentioned seeing around the area, and there's been like people's chickens get killed or their pigs get killed or whatever. And I actually found one of the very first newspapers way back in this late 1790s. There was a newspaper article that was scanned in through the archives of warning people in the area to watch their children and their livestock because of a mysterious black cat that was in the area from the 1790s. And so I'm finding that it's a really good place just to research different legends, because believe it or not, you will sometimes find information on those old newspaper articles that you wouldn't think about. So anyway, that's what I'm going to work on this weekend. I'm going to start compiling information. I'm going to use my membership to newspapers.com and start putting information together. And I think I've told you guys this before, but once the information is kind of compiled, writing the actual book is easy. The hardest part about all of the ghost stuff is finding the research. So what we like to do typically is we find what research is already there in forms of books, newspaper articles, online journals, that kind of, what stories are already there. And then we like to go directly to the sources and say, hey, does anybody have any personal ghost stories? Does any of the employees of this organization have ghost stories? And just try to compile everything that we can connected to the legend. So anyways, that's what I want to work on this weekend. I'm going to work on compiling information and hopefully doing a little bit of relaxing. I started watching Heartland on Netflix, which I like it. It's cute. It's lighthearted, but I'm not in love with it. But I am really enjoying Poldark. I've made it through the first 5 or 6 episodes of Poldark on Netflix, and I actually really like it. I like period pieces, so I'm enjoying that one a lot, so I may watch a few episodes of that. But yeah, that's kind of my plans for the weekend. And something else I've been doing as of late is I've been trying to read more physical books. I know I've talked about this quite a few times about needing to read physical books because I have so many on my TBR card that have been there for years. And for those of you who might be new to my channel, the reason why I haven't been reading them is I've been having trouble with my eyes, but I do have progressive lenses now, which are helping that situation. And I have also found a magnifier sheet that I got from the Dollar Tree of all places that you can lay on top of a page and it helps magnify. And because of that, I'm getting back into writing. Now, some books I don't need it. Like this book here, and this is one of my TBR. The writing is totally fine. Like I can read this and I don't have an issue. But every once in a while, you'll get a print book where the writing is just super small. And so I use the magnifying page. But my progressives are making it where I can actually read. And because I work on a computer all day, this is one of the ways where I can still read and take in all the stories that I love. But I don't necessarily want an audiobook. I don't know. I'm trying to get myself back to non-technological things. It's part of my social media detox. I love my ebooks. I have an ebook that I'm in the middle of reading right now, but I also want to start incorporating things where I'm not on the computer. So for example, I started doing jigsaw puzzles again. And one of the other things I'm doing is I'm starting reading physical books. So this is what I'm currently reading. Look, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I read multiple books at a time. I always have. It is not uncommon for me to have 2 or 3 books going at once because that's just how I do it. So I am reading one fictional book, and this book is a little bit older, but it's one that I've had on my TBR card, and I got it from Goodwill a few years ago. But I'm reading The Hating Game finally. Now, some of you guys may have already read this, but like I said, I have not. And I love an enemies to lovers romance. This has been sitting on my cart for probably 4 years now, so it's time to read it. And then the other thing I'm trying to get through is I bought a ton of like Bible study devotional type books over the years, and I really need to start reading through some of those because I need to balance out the fiction and the nonfiction. So a couple that I'm reading is Unstuck by Mark Jobe. Mark Jobe is, oh my goodness, what is his title? I think he's the president. He's in charge of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. And this is his book about finding the calling in your life. And what does God actually want from you? And how do you know what he wants you to do? Like how to get out of feeling trapped in your life and finding your calling. I'm only about 3 chapters into this book. It's been really good so far. And then this is a book that I bought a couple years ago because it was everywhere. I can't remember when this was published. Hold on. What year was this published? Because this book was absolutely everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah, 2021. So a few years ago. This book was everywhere. I bought it. And again, it's been sitting on my shelf. And this one's the Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table by Louis, I think it's Giglio. I'm not sure how he says it. So this is another Christian Bible study book. And basically this is talking about the battle of the mind, right? And how so many of us allow negative thinking, self-doubt, depression, all that stuff to kind of control our thought process. And it's one of the chapters I just read was talking about how when something goes wrong, how you look at things, how you frame your mind very much determines what's going to happen from there. So if something goes wrong and you go down that negative spiral of, my life sucks, everything goes wrong, nothing ever works out, it's going to get worse, what are we going to do? Then things are going to get worse. It talks about how to take control of your mind to look to God for strength and to change how you're framing it. And basically the whole, is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? The glass needs to be half full, and changing the way you think about things can really change how your life progresses from there. And as somebody who deals with a lot of depression and a lot of negative thinking, this actually makes a lot of sense to me. And I am guilty of that. So far, there's been some very helpful tips on like, when you start spiraling, how do you stop the spiral so that you don't spiral all the way down? So yeah, I have been kind of rotating these. I tend to read this one before bed because it's lighthearted. And then these are two that throughout like lunch breaks and stuff, I'll pop in and read. But look, it's not uncommon. And as I said, I have a book that I'm reading through ebook because I have a waterproof case that I use in my hot tub. And when I'm soaking in the hot tub, I will have my phone in the waterproof case and I read the ebook. So I've got like 4 books going on. I obviously wouldn't read a book in the hot tub because I'd drop it. So instead I have an ebook, and I just finished an ebook and I'm starting another one. I think I want to do like a historical romance tonight. So anyway, reading. I'm getting back to reading, and it's funny because when I first started doing this, and I still struggle, I had such a hard time reading a physical book because the entire time I was reading it, I would be like 2 pages in and I'd be like, I need to check my phone. And then a couple more pages, oh, I need to see if there's any notifications on blah, blah, blah. And I'm realizing how attached to my phone I am, how addicted to my phone I am. And this has been helping me to kind of like put the phone down and not be on a screen. So yeah, those are my random thoughts for the week. I think that I just want to start incorporating these vlogs where I'm just kind of sharing the randomness of the week, you know, because sometimes I don't have a big topic to sit down. Sometimes my writing is not progressing where I have an entire project to talk through. Sometimes it's just snippets and little pieces of my day-to-day life. And so I think I'm going to start sharing it just because I think it's fun to document the journey. And if anybody else wants to hear what's going on, I sneezed. If anybody else wants to come along and hear how things are going, you're more than welcome to do so. It is time for me. I have about 10 minutes. I'm going to go make myself a cup of coffee. I've got to make it through the work day. And then I think when I get off work tonight, I'm going to splurge. I'm going to order me some DoorDash. And yeah, I think that I may order myself some DoorDash and then maybe get in the hot tub and read for a little bit. And then starting tomorrow, research. Let me know how your week went. What are you working on? What are you up to this weekend? And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, guys.